You're looking for an ice maker that actually fits into the rhythm of your day, not one that just looks good on a spec sheet. You want something that will keep the drinks cold during a busy lunch rush, stay reliable when the night shift needs a quick refill, and won't drain your budget with hidden maintenance costs. That hesitation you feel before you click Add to Cart is exactly what I ran into when I started comparing commercial ice makers for my small-scale catering business. I spent a few evenings reading the product pages, skimming through the handful of reviews, and watching a couple of setup videos just to make sure I wasn't buying a machine that would sit idle because it was too big, too noisy, or too finicky. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the COTLIN commercial ice maker isn't a kitchen gadget you'd slip on a countertop. It's built for a back-of-house environment that cranks out ice around the clock. The headline numbers, 450 pounds of ice per day and a 350-pound storage bin, are impressive, but they translate into something very practical. You could fill a standard party cooler twice a day without ever running out, and you have a buffer that keeps ice from melting if the machine needs a short break for cleaning or a power hiccup. For a restaurant serving a steady flow of cocktails, a bar that sees a surge on weekend evenings, or a catering crew that needs a reliable source for a buffet, that capacity is the sweet spot between overkill and falling short. What really sets this unit apart in daily use is the Ice Ready in 515 minutes claim. In real life, that means you don't have to wait an hour for the first batch like you would with many smaller machines. When the kitchen bell rings for the next round of drinks, the ice is already forming in the first few minutes, and the timing function lets you schedule production in advance. I saw a short demo where the operator set the timer for a 10-minute lead time before the dinner rush, and the machine started churning just as the servers were prepping tables. No frantic scrambling for ice cubes, just a smooth flow. Another practical feature is the thickness adjustment. Some venues need thin, fast-melting cubes for cocktails that should dilute quickly. Others, like a seafood restaurant, prefer thicker cubes that stay solid longer in a bowl of oysters. The COTLIN lets you toggle between those needs without swapping out a whole unit or buying a separate model. That flexibility is a hidden value you don't see on the spec sheet, but it saves you from having to purchase two machines for different menus. Maintenance is where many commercial ice makers trip up, and COTLIN tries to simplify that with a self-cleaning cycle and automatic drainage. In a busy kitchen, you don't have time to manually scrub the inner walls every week. The machine runs a cleaning routine on its own schedule, and the water it uses drains straight into a standard floor drain. That means one less chore for the back-of-house staff and fewer chances for bacterial buildup that could affect ice taste. The stainless steel exterior isn't just for looks, it's easy to wipe down, resists corrosion from splashed water, and meets the hygiene standards you'd expect in a food service environment. Now, no machine is perfect, and the COTLIN does have trade-offs that matter once it's installed. The first thing you'll notice is the footprint. At roughly the size of a compact refrigerator, it still needs a dedicated space with enough clearance for the front panel and the rear water and drainage connections. If you're running a tiny coffee shop with a cramped prep area, fitting this unit could mean rearranging your entire layout or sacrificing valuable storage. The installation also assumes you have a 110-volt, 20-amp outlet, and a nearby cold water line. It's not a plug-and-play plug for a countertop. You'll likely need a plumber or an experienced technician to hook up the water source and ensure proper drainage. Noise is another practical consideration. Commercial ice makers tend to hum and click as the compressor cycles, and the COTLIN is no exception. In a quiet wine bar or a boutique CAF where ambience matters, the sound could be noticeable if the machine sits close to the seating area. Positioning it behind a service wall or in a separate utility room mitigates the issue, but that again ties back to having enough space to hide it. Power consumption is something the spec sheet glosses over, but it's worth mentioning. Generating 450 pounds of ice daily requires the compressor to run for extended periods, especially during peak demand. If your venue already runs high-energy appliances, you might see a modest bump in your electric bill. For most commercial settings, that cost is absorbed by the convenience and revenue that constant ice supply enables, but it's a factor for anyone watching every cent. Who should walk away from this model? If you're a homeowner who wants a countertop ice maker for occasional parties, this is overkill. The storage bin would dominate your kitchen, and the waterline requirement,